on episode 191 of the Peak Performance Leadership Podcast. I go solo again, and this time I'm going to be talking about how you can overcome the burden of command. That's right, folks. It's kind of all about your mental health today. Are you ready for this? All right, let's do it. Yes, welcome back, one and all. It's so good to be here and speaking to you solo. Definitely enjoying these solo things. And you know what? I'm kind of wondering, are you missing the Monday Leadership Minute? Let me know. I kind of stopped doing it a while ago and kind of miss doing those too. And if you, the listener out there, wants them back because you thought they were awesome and they got you pumped for the week, then let me know. And you know what? I can help you out and get those rolling again. But first off, I want to say thank you to the listeners out there who reached out to me last week, hey, Scott, what the heck? You missed the episode. Where is our episode? Thank you for reaching out. My apologies. I had a little family thing pop up that we had to go take care of. Back home, back behind the mic, back in routine. And going to do you all a solid. If you're listening to this real time, I'm actually going to catch up. Going to catch up this week. So this week, as in the middle of November, the 17th to the 19th of November, I'm going to drop 2 episodes for you. This one right now should have been last week. And then on Friday, you're going to get next week's episode. And guess what? That's going to be all about communication and language, and that is a topic that has been requested by you, the listener. I don't know how many times, so it's coming. But today, a little bit different, and this has been inspired a little bit by another podcast out there that I listen to. So thanks, Dave Jackson, School of Podcasting. Just giving you a shout out. He kind of inspired this one. Anyway, we're talking about the burden of command and overcoming it today. And like, Scott, what the heck is the burden of command? Anyway, well, let's dive in, shall we? So the burden of command, it's a military term. And basically is that kind of inner burden, us as leaders, us as commanders, when I'm commanding, that I have on myself from the strains and the stresses of being in charge. And that is taking care of your people and owning their mistakes and owning their welfares and ultimately their problems becoming your problems, because as a leader, the performance of your team depends on how well they can get past life's obstacles and how well they can mitigate these things. And the performance of your organization depends on how well your team performs, right? So this is why, as a military leader, we often refer to the burden of command, having all these strains and stresses of everyone else that you lead in on you. Now, earlier I said that, your people's problems become your problems. Now, do I mean that you have to go out and solve their problems for them? No. But it does have an impact there. You have to do something. So if someone has a financial issue, you don't have to go and, sit down with them and say, okay, let's do a budget. But hey, maybe you do, especially if this is like a super junior person. who never learn how to manage their money at home, and they're brand new and they're just out in life and they don't understand money management, maybe you do have to sit down and balance and show them how to balance a budget. But what I mean is that you can't, go to the bank and be like, okay, we're going to pay off this debt right now, right? Not to that level. But what are other solutions out there in this example that you as the leader can help them and provide for them? Maybe they can become, can do overtime, or they could do extra work. Or maybe you can recommend them for a task outside somewhere where they get a little bit extra pay or benefits. Or maybe you provide them with the flexibility to go to the bank and sit with the bank manager and figure out a plan. And this is where you say, I want you to go sit with a financial planner, come back and let me know that, I don't need the nitty-gritty details, but what I need to know is that you have a plan. That's what I mean by their problems become your problems, right? You're not looking to fix the problems, but at the same time, you have to worry about it, because if you don't, then like I said, it's going to drag your team down, which drags your organization down. Now, a lot of people out there would say the easy button is to fire them, right? If they're dragging you down, they're placing that burden on you, then get rid of them. But really, is that the best way to go forward? We're in the great resignation right now. We have people that are leaving left, right, and center for any reason. There are job openings everywhere. Do you really want to fire people just to turn around and have to find someone else to hire behind them? Can you really find someone quick enough that has the right skill sets, etc.? Probably not. So again, this goes back to the burden of command. Taking those problems on, owning them as if they're yours, but at the same time, empowering your people just to get on with their life and sort it out. So let's talk about some of the effects that the burden of command can/will have. And the first one is burnout. You're worried about operations. You're worried about the processes of your organization. You're worried about the bottom line, most likely, whatever that bottom line looks like, right? You're worried about the other people. And all of a sudden you have this person who shows up to your door and says, hey, boss, I'm about to be in financial ruin. I don't know what to do. I'm stressed out. This is why I'm missing deadlines right now. This is why I'm not keeping up. This is why I've made these mistakes, missed that meeting, etc. So suddenly you're working on that on your plate, trying to figure out, how can you help this person, support this person, but at the same time, keep all of the balls up and running. That's going to increase your stress. That's going to make you distracted. Ultimately, what it can boil down to is you having your own potential mental health problems, right? You can get stressed out. There are some military leaders out there who have such high levels of burden of command that ultimately they have post-traumatic stress disorder from them because of the amount of stress that has been placed on them through their people's problems, through making sure that they're effective in their jobs, making sure that they're doing their tasks, making sure that everything was good to go, putting people in harm's way, which I know the listeners out there, many of you, there are military listeners out there, so this does apply to you. That does apply, but many other listeners, that doesn't apply to you. But the moral of the story is that you have your people, you're putting them in situations where it may not be the best, and ultimately it does place stress on us. So the moral of the story is you can have mental health issues from it. But hey, it wouldn't be a podcast without solutions, right? Especially one where I'm behind the mic solo. So let's talk about how we can counteract and ultimately overcome that burden of command. And the first thing is you need to lead yourself, right? That's the first freaking domain of leadership. Lead yourself. So what do you need to do? You need to reduce that stress. You need to take the breaks. You need to take vacations and get away from the office. Not to say dump it onto your deputy or your second in charge command or whatever, your assistant, but rather for you to clear your head, get away. And that can be as simple as walking away for lunch. I personally, right now, enjoy getting out of my building and going for a coffee at lunchtime. Why? Because it gets me away from the computer, gets me away from the environment, away from everyone. Not that I don't like my team or anything or my environment, but rather it enables me to have that clean break, let my mind focus on something else, like, wondering if I'm going to get the Tim Hortons hockey cards that I need to complete my deck right now, rather than do I have enough equipment, the people in the right place to affect the mission that we've just been assigned, right? That break helps. And too many leaders out there just go from 8 to 5 or 6 to 9 even, and I mean AM to PM, without breaking, meeting after meeting, email after email, phone call after phone call, never stopping to even eat. Now, that does not help reduce stress. In fact, it does the opposite. It actually increases stress. So take the breaks. The next way, exercise, folks. Just do it. There are so many leaders out there. When I coach, I ask them about their workout routines. What do they like to do to keep active and keep fit? And I know the answer before they even say it, and that is, what are you talking about? Exercise, clinically proven to reduce stress. Clinically proven to reduce brain fog, increase clarity, right? Clinically proven to do so many things out there that you as the leader, you need. So why don't you do it? Simple. 30 minutes a day is good enough. I am up at 0500 every morning to get my workout in. Why? Because I know if I don't, then I'm going to be more stressed. I'm going to be a little bit more agitated that day. There are so many issues that pop up. I just am not on my game when I don't get my morning workout in. This helps counteract the burnout, the stress effects of the burden of command. And then the final thing, which something I don't necessarily do, but I've read so many amazing articles, I've spoken to so many leaders out there, and that is meditate. A lot of people out there, meditation, they find it helps focus, helps them clear their mind, helps reduce their stress levels, make them relax. And ultimately, that's what you're trying to do to overcome the burden command, is keep relaxed and keep lowering your stress levels, right? Now, there's more to it than just relaxation and getting the stress out. As you know, burden of command, as I talked about, is it's taking out our people and taking on their welfare, and just simply getting rid of stress doesn't help solve problems. So how can we go about doing this? And for you mid-level leaders out there, the mid-senior managers out there, and junior ones too, is find a confidant, right? Someone who's kind of at your level, maybe a little bit higher, and depending on the relationship you have with your supervisor, it could be them, but maybe just a confidant or someone that you trust. And this is the most important thing. It has to be someone who you trust, that you can go to and just talk about the situation, talk about the things that are going on at your work, and enable them to bounce ideas off of them and just kind of vent and get your anger and frustrations out, especially if you both have the same supervisor and there's frustrations going on with them because they're not supporting you, and how you need to support your people based off of the situation that's going on. And having that confidant will enable you to, one, not feel like you're alone, because often as leaders we feel like we're alone. We're the only one there that can really know the situation or understand, but the reality is we're never alone. We are never alone. We feel like we're alone, but we're never alone. Maybe in that exact situation, yes, of course you're alone, but there's always going to be people out there that you can lean in on. And this is going to be a great time for me to mention our Facebook group, leadership skills for managers who want to be leaders and not bosses, right? If you go to movingforwardleadership.com/group, it's going to bring you directly there. Fill out the little application and I'll get you in as quick as possible. But the moral of the story is this, is that group provides people a place where they can go ahead and ask for ideas and suggestions, and basically a place that is safe for them to throw out there what's going on. Why? To help them overcome that burden of command. So find that confidant, find that person or group of people that you can lean in on to basically help reduce that stress load, to act as that sounding board and help you along your journey. But then you go, but Scott, I'm an executive. I'm the owner. It literally is just me, or I can't do that because there is no one else. If I do that with someone else, then it comes across as weak to the rest of the members and I could lose my job. Well, this is where I would suggest that, you know what, maybe it's time to call professional, right? Professional counseling, there's nothing to be ashamed of with that. And don't get me wrong, you don't have to be an executive or a business owner to seek professional counseling. If you feel, or if someone mentions to you that maybe you should look at that, it is something for anyone and everyone, and it is nothing to be ashamed of. I will tell you, I've had my time with one, and there's nothing I am not ashamed of it, because you know what it is? It's just sometimes you lack those skills, right? You lack those skills to deal with the situation. You don't have someone to go to because of no one has the experience or whatnot. And the professional counselors basically become those coaches, those guys that help you get through that situation that's causing you all this stress and anxiety, that's making you distracted, having mental health issues, causing you your burnout, the reason why you can't sleep anymore, and the reason why you don't eat well and you don't work out, etc. These people will help you get on the right track. And that is why it's a great fit for those executives, top level leaders / owners, because you feel like you're alone. As Colin Powell, rest in peace, Colin, said, the top is a lonely place. Well, there are people out there for you, right? Go and find one that works well with you and your style, and I tell you, it will pay you huge dividends moving forward. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you overcome the burden of command. You need to identify it, i.e., understand that you are in there, you have it. It is not something that's going to go away, but rather stays around. You as a leader, you have to be all in, and when you go all in, the burden of command comes with it. So identify it, identify the effects that it's having on you, counteract it by leading yourself and getting that solid, positive personal routine in, having a confidant, whether that is a coworker, someone who is, close to you, someone who you trust dearly. And then finally, if you need to, seek that professional help. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, Friday we'll be launching yet another episode for you. So that will get us right back on track and getting close to the new year in 2022 with so many great guests already lining my schedule. My recording schedule is already packed and I can't wait for it. All right. As always, I'm here for you. If you need me, reach out to me. All right. I'll do what I can. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, remember, lead, don't boss. Take care.